it's telling me it must be you. It's telling me it might be you. Ooh, so many quiet walks to take, so many dreams to make. Lord, that's so much love to me. I think we're gonna need some time, maybe all this time. And it's telling me it might be you all my life.
Well, welcome back to Extraordinary Drummers. I'm Cheron Moore, your host. Today is my day, y'all. You know something? This gentleman I've been wanting to interview for a long time. He knows some things about a drum set a lot of guys think they know, but just don't know, boy. And I'm really glad to have him. Would you help me welcome my dear friend? He's played with everybody from Angela Bofield, People Bryson, my favorite, Will Downing, just to name a few, and we're going to talk about these guys. Johnny Gill, just Engelbert Huntley, Al Jarreau, the Pointer Sisters, just name anybody you want, okay? My dear friend Lan Richards here at Extraordinary Drummer. Hey, brother.
Hey, man.
Woo!
Little brother.
Pleasure, man. Pleasure.
Pleasure's mine, definitely.
Finally got you to settle down, man.
And it's in between. On break.
Lan, you know, I just have to say it, man. You actually are a legend. Come on now, really. You're actually a legend. I've had several guys that are legends, but you know, when it comes to setting the field, how many drummers can say they came from you, you gave them that first break? I can say that. I'll tell y'all the story one day. We were at Madison Square Garden back in New York. You and the drummer, I hope I get to interview, Michael White, were backstage. And Madison Square Garden, I think you were doing, we're going to talk about this, Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Correct.
And I asked you, I said, what's happening? It was backstage. And I asked you, what's happening in LA, man? And you said, well, you should be out there. What you doing? You should be coming out there, you know? And take me all the way back. Do you remember how young you were when you started playing drums?
Oh, yeah, man. Definitely, you know. First of all, I was born in Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
What was the name of it?
Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
Where's that at?
Well, Muscle Shoals, Alabama is a famous area of music, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, because that's what Fame Studios and another studio at the time back then was called Wishbone. But Fame Studios is where Percy Sledge came out of.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And as a kid, like I say, I don't have a different instrument, but drums was, I felt like I liked drums better, you know, and then we moved to Texas, left Alabama, you know, because, you know, it was just different, you know, at that time in the 60s. And so we moved to Texas, and that's where my dad was from. My mom was from that area in Alabama. So we moved to Texas and we were there, and that's when I got a drum set.
How old were you then?
I was 7.
7, okay.
I was 2nd grade, and we were getting ready to have PTA meeting, talent show, and that kind of stuff. The teacher said, "Who got talent?" I said, "Raise my hand." I said, "Talent. What you can do?" I said, "I play drums." You know, she said, "Can you?" She said, "Well, play something for me." I said, "Well, I don't have no sticks." You know, she said, gave me 2 rulers. I played on tape. She said, "Okay." And then I went on to my phone and said, "Hey, I need some drums to be on PTA meeting because we're gonna play something." I said, "Okay, got drums." Boom. And from that point, you know, I had already, you know, been playing like little 20 Tiger drum sets. They last a month maybe, and then they be gone. But then, this is my first real drum set. It was a Polaris. You know, it was probably like $6 or something. But then, got that, played, and I was putting the time in as a kid, you know. I practiced and stuff. And then my dad let me come and play a tune on the gig with his band. You know, I was like, all right, cool. And so we played, did a tune, and he gave me a little money, and then it's like from that, it's like, oh man, money, girls, woo! New life.
I like this gig.
Yeah, you know. So that's kind of how it first started, you know. And then from that point on, I kept.
Were you in high school yet then?
No,
I
was second grade.
Oh,
This is second grade, bro.
what?
No.
Second grade? Well, maybe you. What did you say? 7, 5?
Yeah, I was 7.
Wow.
No, 7. And so, you know, play, you know, and then I kept playing every now and then. He'd let me come play a tune with at the club, and then I go home with my mom, you know, stuff like that. But then it got to the point where, you know, his drummers, if something happened, he would call my mom and say, hey, bring Land to the club. And drummer didn't show up or whatever. And then that started happening when I was about 10. So then I was strong enough to play the gig at that point. You know?
10 years old.
Yeah, you know. So in that 12, I started working 4 nights a week. You know, so.
Were you doing those 5 sets a night like growing up?
Dude, no.
Do you remember those?
No. Check this out. The way the gig was then, you play 2.5 hours, take a 30-minute break, come back, and play the last hour and a half. That's how the gig was.
They didn't want you to leave the stage.
No. Because it was live music.
Yeah.
So
Folks
you know,
coming in.
it wasn't no DJ. It was a jukebox back then. You know, so the jukebox only played for 30 minutes, and then we back on stage. You know, so that's kind of how that was.
Tell me, what was your first big gig? The first big gig got you out of town.
No.
Going on the road.
Going on the road and stuff like that. When I first moved to LA.
When did you move to LA?
I moved to LA in '82. I left Howard University in '82 and drove out here from DC, and I went on auditions and stuff because I met Dennis Davis. I was working at Radio Shack, and he stayed around the corner. And I met Dennis. He was playing with Stevie at the time, and he's doing Day Boy at the time too. But anyway, I met Dennis. He came in the Radio Shack, and I was just standing up there because I was a salesman. I was tapping him on the counter. I said, "Hey, can I help you?" He said, "You drummer?" I said, "Yeah." I'm Dennis Davis. He said, "Oh, hey man, how you doing?" You know, we started talking, blah, blah, blah. Dennis was interested in the pretty girl that worked in the cleaners next door, you know. But anyway, and then I also met Jonathan Moffett. He came in there.
Sugarfoot.
Yeah, Sugar came in there to get some batteries actually, because it was right at Venice between Washington. And it was on Western between Venice and Washington. That's where the Radio Shack was. It ain't there no more because they ain't more Radio Shacks. You know, but, so anyway, Dennis and Jonathan told me about different jam sessions, where there were jam sessions. And that's how I started getting kind of in the scene.
Moving forward, man, your list of credits is just unreal. Bobby Womack, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross. My favorite one, you know I want to talk about, Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Oh, yeah.
Now you was with them when they was doing like all of the casinos and
Oh, man.
I saw you when y'all was in Cherry Hill.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember asking Gladys, when I met her later on backstage at Radio City at a Marvin Gaye show, I said, Gladys, how do y'all do that 2 times in one night? I mean, that was real energy.
Oh no, man, check this out. When I first got with Gladys, my first trip out with them was 30 one-nighters in a row. And there was 2 shows on some of those nights. And that's 30 different cities. So we do the way it worked back then, because she only traveled with the rhythm section, and we pick up horns and strings in each city.
You know that?
Oh yeah, man. So we'd land, go straight to the venue, start looking at the equipment, setting up, and all that kind of stuff. Then we have rehearsal with the horns and strings. Then go to the hotel, try to get a little sleep, get up, go do the gig. Then the next day, catch the first thing flying out of there and do the same thing again. 30 days in a row. And the book, it was, because for me, the way I got on the gig, she was doing a gig here in LA. And her drummer, his wife was having natural childbirth, and they need somebody to just sub the rehearsal for the horns and strings. And I had just come in town from Oakland, because I was rehearsing with Frankie Beverly and Mays at the time. And Ricky Minor, who we were playing together, we had a band together, but he had done Gladys's gig prior to it, and he had been telling the music director about me. And he said, the music director called him and said, hey man, the drummer ain't here, his wife having the child. He said, what that dude you've been telling me about? And I'm telling you, I had literally just walked in from driving down from Oakland. And Ricky called me and said, hey man, what you doing? I said, well, I just walked in the house. He said, I'm coming by to get you. They need you to do this rehearsal with Gladys. I'm like, what?
I'm talking about that midnight train to Georgia. So he's leaving a life he's come to know. Ooh. He said he's going back to mine. Going back to mine. Ooh, what's left of his world? The world he left behind. Not so long ago. Georgia.
Tell me about working with the diva herself, Diana Ross.
Sweetheart. Tell me, man. Sweet lady. You know, prior to doing the gig, I had heard stories because I had partners that had been working with her prior to her changing the band up. When she used to use basically like horns and strings, you know, and then she went self-contained more so, and then it was just, you know, keyboards, you know, and a couple of horns, and then background vocals and the rhythm section, you know. But I was subbing the gig for Moise Lucas.
Oh yeah, Journey.
Yeah, and Moise, in fact, he was rehearsing with Steve Perry. When he called me, he's like, hey man, you want to come do Diana for me? I said, all right, great, man, you know. And you know, I was like, boom. And then once I sat down and started playing, I was like, man, I forgot about all the hits. Stuff that Ashford Simpson wrote, you know, all that Motown stuff, but oh man, that's like, God, dog. And it's like, and it was really enjoyable and just fun to play, because Yogi Horton had played a lot of stuff like Upside Down and I'm Coming Out and stuff like that, you know, and just those just add, like I say, in the songs, Ashford Simpson, you know, as far as musicality, you know, killing, you know, but she was a sweetheart, man, sweet as she can be.
Len, just give us a couple of seconds, if you will, about business. Drummers being businessmen. You're the best. You've been around a long time because you're not only a great drummer, but you're a great businessman.
The simplest thing that you need to know when it comes to business, or to music business, is that everybody can play. You don't get your shot if you can't. It's the other stuff that determines whether or not they call you back again. That's what you have to be aware of. And how you associate with people. You have to understand different cultures, because everybody you meet is a different culture, because everybody grew up differently and they have a different way of life and the way they think, you know. So understand how, or I always say, I tell my wife, I say, understand who you're dealing with so that you can finish the job. So if you understand, you don't press the wrong buttons to upset them or throw them off, you know, you have to be the one to say, I'll make the adjustment so that it works. That's all.
What drum kits are you using? What are you doing cymbal-wise and so forth?
Okay, I'm a DW artist.
Yeah, sound good in the guys.
Yeah, you know, Zildjian, ProMark, Gibraltar, Shure microphones, and let me see, what else?
What are you doing, sticks?
Yeah, those are ProMark.
Oh, those ProMarks, yeah.
Oh, ProMark.
Yeah.
Artists, you know, they out of Houston. You know, it's like a hometown company. My
Sweet.
partner, you know, definitely. But I've been using like the gig that I'm doing today. I'm using it's called a New Yorker. It's a PDP kit, but it's a great sounding little kit, man. But you know, for little gigs, you can carry it, walk in, one trip out. You know, but the drums sound really, really, they're killing.
What was it like working with Larry Carlton?
Oh, Larry, great, man.
I've seen some videos of that.
Yeah, it's
Good
Lee,
stuff.
we did Lee and Larry called Crosstown Kids. They did a record together, and we toured Asia and the U.S. together, and it was great, you know. But I know Larry prior to that because he used to come by the Baked Potato when I was playing with Upchurch every now and then, and partner Kirk Whalen was working with him, so we, you know, had those mutual acquaintances.
Lan, you are truly the best at this, and that is having a conversation musically with the drums on stage. Talk to us a little bit about that.
My approach when it comes to that kind of stuff is just whatever song I'm playing, I make sure I know all the parts. Now, if I'm reading and I have a chart, then it's just a drum chart. Then there's no way for me to know what everybody else is doing other than just using my ears. And once it goes down through one time, pretty much got it because you read the chart, you know. Then on the next time around, that's when the conversation really starts, so that the communications, everybody can kind of get away from the chart and it's more of a roadmap. It's like going home, you know the way to go, but you might take an alternate route, you know, to get there. So it's just that approach, and it depends on the song. And like I said, I try to put time in for different genres so that I know how the conception of it was created, and I can jump back to the conception all the way to what's happening now. So then all those different tangibles take place, you know, and that's it, man. That's all it is. My approach and my philosophy to drums, it varies depending on the artist I'm with. Now, I work with an artist right now, Randy Crawford, And I started working with her probably back in '90. But she called me recently, and we just got back from Germany a couple of months ago, and we get ready to do some more stuff, go to South Africa and a few other things. But first time I went out with her, all I took, one pair of sticks, a pair of mallets, and a pair of brushes. The whole time, I didn't bruise the sticks once. I'm telling you, this is how soft I have to play with her. We were rehearsing one day, and she looked around at me and asked me, she said, "Lan, are you mad at me?" I'm like, "No, Randy, why you ask?" She said, "Because you're hitting your snare drum harder today than you did yesterday." I said, "No problem, I can fix that." You know, so immediately changed the velocity. And we, like I said, we just came back from Germany, and the kind of kit that I have set up for her, smaller cymbals so that they don't get in the way, smaller, you know, either 18 or 20 at the biggest, you know, 18 preferably. And I'll bring a snare. I usually use a 13 snare, and I use a 10 and a 13-4 or 14-4. But I have the drums tuned, and that's the other thing I want to say about tuning. The harder you strike a drum, the less it resonates and the less it rings. It chokes. It's just like if you think about a conga, when they do a conga slap, or if they hit the conga like, you can hear it from the table. How much? And the difference. Same thing with the drum. I learned that from Harvey Mason, seeing him record. Harvey's finesse and just played so lightly, and he just boom, hit the drum, it's like boom, and the drum would explode through the system. And he just said, boom, that joke was like, whoosh. I was like, okay. So then I had to even train my ear to hear the drums on the post side as opposed to what's right here. Because what you hear right here, oh, this sounds good. But then when you listen to it over there, it's a totally different sound. Projection, and you know, if you got too much tape on it and it's like stifling, or it's cracks and it's sizzling, and you know, the ambience. So I had to change the way I tune the drums so that they speak the right way, and so that I can just touch them easily. They would explode in the house, but on stage they'd be just like a whisper, you know. So, and that's just different techniques, you know, different things you learn over the years, you know.
Lan, in closing, would you leave the drummers coming up, the guys out there, would you leave them a word of advice and direction, consultation? You can look right in the camera if you like.
Just work hard, you know, work hard, learn as much, be a sponge, take it all in, work on your reading, because when there's something you don't do, you don't make money for it. Because I do a lot of symphony stuff too. And another partner of mine, they were calling us the super subs. And we just come in, do the gig or do the rehearsal, and read the stuff straight down, get the money and run. On to the next one. So all that kind of stuff is available. Very few drummers. There are a lot of readers out who go to school, but there are a lot of drummers who come up in the church who talk in different terms, like 3/2 and 5/3 and all that kind of stuff. And I understand what it's saying, but it's when you're dealing on another level, you have to talk notations. You know, when you're talking sextuplets, talking triplets, you're talking dotted eighths followed by 16ths followed by dotted eighths, you know, and so that you can actually talk the language. That's a different language than what's going on right now, which is cool. But you should know all of it. You know, even when you work with older people, they talk a whole nother language, you know, in the clubs, you know. So you just be a sponge and take it all in so that you don't have any questions when you do the job. That's the key. Come on. Because see, my whole thing is there's room for everybody. If you do what you do. Now, if you try to come out and do somebody else, they're going to call them. That's all that is. That's bottom line. You know, why would they call you when they could get them?
Yeah.
You know? So just come out and do what you do, and your playing will speak for itself. And all I would ask anybody who came is like, tell me what you can't do, so I don't send you on the wrong thing, so that you can continue to work. Because guys will call me from all over the country, say, hey man, I'm only an hour away. I said, well, it's not fair for me to call you for something when there's guys knocking on my door that is trying to eat, and I reach over them and feed you, and you in a different place. You're not even making the commitment to come out. Wow. You know? So that's my whole thing. Is that all the cats that come out, you know, it's like, man, I had probably 8, 10 different drummers working regularly, you know, just from doing gigs around town, so that you can pay your bills, you know.
Wow.
And then, like I say, your plan will speak for itself, you know, and then you're taking care of business, end of it, then people continue to call you.
See, when I was doing that subbing for all the guys, when I got in town and guys would give me their jobs, a lot of guys were moving up in price. So those clients, and a lot of them were the clients that got them started, but they were moving up in price.
Right.
And they, in a nice way, was setting me up, but they was letting it, you know. And I would go in, and my philosophy was to make that guy look good.
Yeah, well, that's it. You know, you're going to...
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
it wasn't show him up and I'm going to take his job.
You go do the job.
Yeah,
that's
and most drummers, I think, they need to understand, especially in LA, the LA drumming community is, that brotherhood is nothing like it. And the object of it is, when you go into a job, you have to understand that most of your work is going to come from a drummer.
Well,
at least I felt
it does, because you usually need somebody to cover for them on the job, you know. Yeah. But at the same time, if you do a good job, they'll call you back anyway.
Yeah, but I never wanted that, and I wanted them to call you back and say, "We love that guy." Okay. And then when you couldn't make it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, you would nudge them. Listen, I'm gonna be out for a while, and they would say, "You mind if we just keep him for a while?" And then eventually, I became their main guy at a lower price.
No. Look. And I'm all about, hey, make as much money as you can.
Yeah.
Because the turnover, it's really a young man's business.
Say it, brother.
You know, but the thing is, the turnover is quick. So, and the things that you do prior to, they hear about it.
Come on.
Some way. You know? So, the thing is, just go take care of business. You know, and it's not personal. It's about doing the job.
That's it.
It's not personal. And then it's just music.
Yeah.
It's that big of a deal, really. That's how I look at it.
Help us say goodbye to all the drummers.
Brothers, sisters, keep rolling.
Glenn Richards. It don't get no better than that, y'all.
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. If I have to beg me for your sympathy, I don't mind what you mean that much. Too tired to beg, sweetheart, please don't leave me, girl. Don't you know? Ain't too proud to prove, baby. Y'all gotta put your hands together like this. Come on, everybody. On a cloudy day, when it's cold outside, I've got the money. If you know the chorus, will you help us sing it?